Next in the tank is an island's best kept secret for skincare.
So we were able to really leverage that public airing, or that platform to really promote the work that we were already doing.
We worked, we learned, we clawed our ways into the beauty industry, into the business space. And that was all because we wanted to help those who we looked up to, because they taught us about love, they taught us about culture, and they taught us about, from the Haitian perspective, what it is when you put your mind to something through the Haitian Revolution.
That energy that she brought motivates so many young female entrepreneurs, to really show that if you believe in your business and believe in what you're doing, just don't back down.
There is power in small businesses, and there is power when those in a community make a decision that they are going to help their own. I don't think the grind ever stops. I think the grind changes. How it looks changes. One of the hard things for entrepreneurs to do is stop and look how far you've come, because there's always something else you need to do. There's always like fires you need to put out.
Welcome to the Lost Entrepreneur Podcast. For all the first-time listeners, I'm Sébastien Romero, and today we have with us Yve-Car Momperousse. And later we will be joined by Stéphane Jean-Baptiste. They're both the co-founders of Kreyol Essence. And thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here, Sebastian. I'm so excited for us to talk about all things entrepreneurship, Kreyol Essence, and anything else I could share.
Thank you. Well, let's diving right into the questions. How was life growing up for you?
Life growing up for me was happy. It was filled with family and friends. And I like to say we didn't have a lot of money, but I didn't know it, which was a nice thing because we were surrounded by so much love and community. So that is truly what I remember about growing up and what was important to me during that time.
How did the way you grow up influence how you decided to bring about your company culture?
I would say the way I grew up that had a huge impact on setting company culture and also being an entrepreneur is the fact that I saw both my parents work extremely hard. My dad was a teacher, but he wasn't a traditional teacher. In addition to what he did, to teach math and science in high school, he also started a GED program for international or mostly Haitian or French-speaking folks who came to the country and who didn't know how to speak English. And he did that because he understood as an immigrant that education was important in order to move to the next level in the country. I also noticed that he didn't just get called for, signing up for his classes, but if people had a question about where do I go to find a tutor for my child? Where do I go to, go to the doctor? He became a central point for people new to the country to understand how to navigate. And he did that because he wanted to help the community, and that stuck with me. Excuse me, getting over a cold. My mom was in business. She always was. She traveled a lot and had such a love for Haiti. She made sure that we went to Haiti every chance we got. So I didn't understand it at the time, but that was a huge seed for me falling in love with my culture and my country, because I was surrounded by it all the time, going to the country, my grandmother, my cousins. So it was really home, and it made sure that I spoke the language. It means I knew the customs and kept it close to home. And both of them, I think, are truly the reason I started the business, and that, me and Stéphane are where we are today.
How did you make the shift from your day job to making your own business? Did you work on it on the side or save for funding until you thought you could strike it out on your own with no strings attached?
Both of them. I was the director of diversity at Cornell. I was the assistant director of alumni affairs at the University of Pennsylvania. But throughout those times, I was working on the plan for the business. So I went to work during the day, and at night, I worked on the business. So that was my, Kreyol Essence started off as my side hustle, if you will. But I knew that at some point as we were growing the business, that I needed to go full time. So I started saving, and I made sure that I had a year's worth of savings, so that we could really focus on the business and at least not worry about if we were going to be homeless or not. Now, it was actually one of the best times for us because you realize what's important and how much you don't need. We cut out cable. We only had like Hulu. We cooked at home. Having fun was going out in nature and farmers market. So when we weren't working on the business, we found very active and fun and cheap things to do. And then ate lots of ramen noodle, which is par for the course. But I knew I had to save in order to give the business an opportunity to grow and to see what would happen. It was scary. I also made sure to talk to my family and friends before I did it so that they could understand that my life was going to be a bit different for a while. They weren't going to see me as much at family events. They weren't going to see me as much, for vacations, because all of our time and our money was invested in the business. So I planned before I decided to go full time in the company.
How long did that, I guess, time of like just grind last? Was it only that first year or much longer?
Oh my God. First off, I don't think the grind ever stops. I think the grind changes, how it looks changes. But I would say the first 4 or 5 years of the company was pretty pivotal before we really saw what I think one would call major growth, right? Like when you get to the $1 million plus mark, it took us about 4 to 5 years. And one of those reasons is because we spent the first 3 years of the business focused on what they call the supply chain, meaning how we get the products made in Haiti. So the first goal, sure, we launched our website, but then we had to figure out how do we make more product once, we started having these customers, and it wasn't mom, dad, and my sister and somebody from church. It was people we didn't know. And that was harder to do than we thought because everyone said there was plenty of our signature product. Our signature product at Kreyol Essence, it's Haitian Castor Oil and Haitian Moringa Oil, which helps with healthy hair and healthy skin, particularly for those who are suffering from hair loss. Moms, after they have their kids, they suffer from hair loss. As you age, styling issues. So hair loss is a big thing. That's one of the main products that we have. And then Moringa Oil for skin care. So getting that made in Haiti traditionally was not an easy feat. So that's what we spent most of our time doing in the early years. In addition to getting to know our customers and how to communicate and connect with them.
How do you think your guys' goals have changed since first starting the company to now?
That's a very good question, actually. I would say the way our goals have changed would be that, now that we're coming up, we're on 9 years in the company. So we, for the most part, understand what works, right? A lot of it is not about testing anymore. It's about how do you take things that have been successful and 10x it. That's my favorite number, 10x. Meaning if we know what our customers' favorite products are, how do we make sure that more folks like our customers come into the Kreyol Essence family? If we know that, our tribe members, that's what we call our customer, wants to talk to us on social, and whether it's TikTok or Instagram, how do we make sure we provide more information and keep communicating through that channel? So I would say that's one of the big differences is that it's not as much about testing. It's about going deeper into what works with our customers.
Recently we started going back to our old business plan and realized that we're executing on a lot of our earlier goals. And I think things just morph and adjust differently. we've always been super intentional about social impact. And now, with everything going on in Haiti, it's like, how do we continue with that goal of job creation, of social impact, of working with artisans and farmers, but executing that goal from a different perspective, or doing it differently given the circumstances and given the years that we've had as a brand, and looking to work towards those visions.
Yeah, because that must feel so gratifying to like look back and be like, we did this. Like one of our main goals we've accomplished it, checked it off.
It is, sometimes when a lot of times, I'm not even gonna say sometimes, a lot of time you're in the journey, you're in the trenches, the day-to-day, and you don't even realize what you've been able to accomplish, until you step out, or you do interviews like this, or you meet people. I'm actually at a trade show right now, and folks will stop me and say, "Oh, wow, hey, congrats, and thank you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What?" I didn't do anything, but they give a great reminder of that journey, and to appreciate the entrepreneurship journey as well.
I would agree with Stéphane on that, because one of the hard things for entrepreneurs to do is stop and look how far you've come, because there's always something else you need to do. There's always like fires you need to put out. So it's hard for entrepreneurs, I think, to always see how far they've come. That's why I thought your question was super interesting.
How do you guys think that Shark Tank changed the timeline of Kreyol Essence? Were you both prepared for the impact it had on a company, or did it kind of like hit you in a irregular way you weren't expecting?
Good question. So I think the way that you asked it too, the timeline, right? Not necessarily like the impact of the company, but the timeline. I think it was aligned with where we were at the time. We were 5 years into the company, and, even we were intentional with the decision that we made as far as when we decided to apply, and just really bet on ourselves in seeing, hey, can we actually, have this vision of getting into Shark Tank and then actually get all the way to an airing. So that was a challenge that we had proposed for ourselves. And so, I think in answering the timeline, I think it aligned well with where we were and what we needed. We started speaking with Ulta right around that time frame as well. Some of our retail partners, like we were getting back into getting more products to the Whole Foods channel. So it just really aligned with some of the things that we already had in play. And Shark Tank just really helped propel and boost some of those things that we were working on years prior. Excuse me. That Shark Tank, during that period of Shark Tank, came to fruition. So we were able to really leverage that public airing, or that platform, to really promote the work that we were already doing.
How did the Kevin O'Leary deal help the company, other than the monetary value of his deal?
Mm-hmm. I would say everything related to Shark Tank. The most important thing that being on Shark Tank was able to do for us was tell our story. And that's not something that we necessarily planned on being so important for the business. We were more so thinking, oh, we need this money in order to launch at Ulta, because there's just something called working capital that you need when you get a PO from a retailer. You have to have money already in the bank to pay the person making your products. And we were missing that. So we had this order, but we needed more money to make the product. So through the airing, we actually sold enough product that we already had on hand to reinvest in the company to make more product to sell to Ulta. And we were also able to connect with such a diversity of people and folks who cared about two entrepreneurs trying to make it, who were able to connect to our immigrant story, to folks who were having the problems where they needed hair care products and skincare products, either because they had eczema or psoriasis, or they needed to grow out their hair. There were all these people that I think it would have been rather difficult for us to reach without Shark Tank. So still today, it's the number one thing people talk about, the number one thing people ask about, just because it's a window to who we are. And there was nothing fake about it. And I think people could tell that. And of course, everybody loves seeing Stéphane made everybody cry.
It's
And
my
that's
allergies.
his allergies. And that's important. The most important thing that we were able to get out of Shark Tank.
Yeah, because that must have put you in the marketing of that. Must have put you just in so many doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to Yve-Car's point, reaching different. I think the exciting thing was the various audiences that we were able to reach out to, and other people, and a variety of people really identifying with the story and identifying with just, and Yve-Car's grit and determination, and how many female CEOs or even female founders that get on that show and just say, look, I'm not backing down. I believe in my business, from that perspective. And so like that energy that she brought motivates so many young female and female entrepreneurs, to really show that if you believe in your business and believe in what you're doing, like just don't back down.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because when I was watching the episode, I was just like, I think they said like it was your greatest strength and weakness, but I was like, this is like this is I can only see this as strength. Like,
Right.
Yeah, no.
Barbara.
So where did both of your passions for social entrepreneurship stem from?
So I think to your point, when you asked me what happened, when you asked me about growing up and how it impacted culture and thinking about the business, that's really where I would say it stemmed from me. And I didn't recognize that probably up until I was in college. And I noticed the things that I like to say whenever you get a reaction from something. So let's say you get angry. And when I would see those who are homeless, when I see anything related to poverty, I get mad. And that's because to me, there's something we should be able to do about that in a world that is plentiful, especially here in the United States, right? So watching my parents support others planted a seed that I could not imagine would take me into social entrepreneurship, but that's truly what did it.
Yeah, I would say for me, that's it. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but definitely childhood planted the seed, similar to Yve-Car. I think for me it was also I reached right after undergrad. Our first company was actually a design and marketing agency, and I used that platform. The company was called Nouveau Concepts, Nouveau, new in French. It's a term that we use in Kreyol as well, and so it was really from the mindset of redefining, reshaping that narrative of Haiti, and exposing the culture to the world. And I did it in the best way that I could through marketing and creative assets. Fast forward for Kreyol Essence, it's the same journey, right? We're using beauty, and when we first started the company, the idea and what got me excited when Yve-Car pitched the idea for me was the opportunity to again go back and changing that narrative. And what best way to do it through beauty products, through things that our tribe and our clients have such an intimate relationship with, right? Like your journey, whether or not it's your hair, your makeup, whatever it is, it's an intimate journey. It's an intimate thing, in that you're sharing that intimacy with the culture and with Haiti and with us. And so that was like, wow, all right, cool. And then once we started digging a little bit more as far as the impact when it came to the castor oil and what we were exporting, it got even more exciting because it goes back to the work that Yve-Car and I used to do, community organizing, advocating for Haitian Americans in the US. Yve-Car worked for AIDS Coalition. And so all these things that were near and dear to us, we saw business as a wonderful vehicle to address those issues of poverty, address those issues of racism and classism, and just all this. Like, we have this platform that we created to share a voice and make sure everybody feels welcome, feel seen and heard. And I guess that's one of the things that continues to motivate us to move forward with that ethos in mind.
Why did you guys create a business that helps the Haitian community through employment, rather than when so many other businesses rather choose to use their excess cash flow to promote a charity or it's something else to build up the community?
I think that's an excellent question. The main driver decision making for that was I had worked in the nonprofit space for so long. I was the director at New Jersey Citizen Action, where the job was really to help educate people on finances, because that's a root cause of poverty, right? If you're bouncing checks, if you don't know how to manage your finances, that gets you into poverty. I had worked on things related to education in Haiti and how do we get more people in schools. I had worked on so many different social issues, but we could never really, in any of the organizations that I was a part of, no matter how much they were funded, we could never really solve problems in a way that was meaningful. So I thought about, what is the thing that everyone who's having an issue, whether they need medical care, whether it's education, whether it's dealing with poverty, all of it had something to do with money. If people had money, they could go to the doctor. If they had a job, right? If people had a job, they could send their kids to school and they could educate themselves. So a lot of these things that we were trying to solve for people in the nonprofit space, people would solve for themselves if they had a job. And after years of looking at trillions of dollars spent in the development and donation space, we wanted to try something different. And that's where we got excited about, how do we create a job for someone that will be there, not just when the grants are here, but after the grants are there. And when you correlate, you buy your shampoo and conditioner at least every month or every other month. If that shampoo and conditioner can help create a job for someone, then you don't have to give a donation. You might not even need to know that, this product was made by a Haitian farmer or a woman or a small business. But just because you love the product, you will automatically continue to purchase. And that is more predictable. That is more steady than donation. So that's why we decided to go that route.
What are the main changes you see in the lives of the Haitian people that you employ, and especially the Haitian women that you employ? Because I see that on your website, you put a large emphasis on helping Haitian women.
Mm-hmm. So as a company, one of the reasons we focus on women is that there's a study, and you can find it like on the UN site and many other sites, that when you employ a woman, she will take care of at least 5 to 6 people in her area, in her village. So if we want to target helping communities by empowering one woman, you actually help to empower 5 or 6 individuals in a community. The other thing that is important to note is that the tradition of creating castor oil is one that's usually passed down from generation to generation, female to female. So not only is it important from a community perspective, but women are the ones with the skill set to actually make the product and have the patience for it. So it works from a social perspective, but also from a business perspective to focus on hiring women.
Yeah. One of the cool things you mentioned as far as like the impact, we partnered up a couple years ago with an organization called Fund Cause, which it's really meant on banking the unbanked and creating those opportunities. And another program that we were part of under Fund Cause was the CLM initiative. And these are women who, again, they didn't have a bank account, didn't have some of the skills that are required to actually go to the general marketplace and get a job. And so we were able to work with them to essentially get them training in agricultural basics, planting the castor pods and the seeds, to ultimately become the seeds. And that was such an exciting thing because, again, it's they're not only learning the skill sets required even beyond just working with us, but at the same time, like, they're also entering a sector that was traditionally a male sector. There weren't a lot of female farmers and those working, the land. So we were arming them with that skill set of both life skills in addition to entering a new sector in Haiti.
I know that you guys have partnered with several charitable organizations. What values do you want those organizations to embody when you do work with them?
Values. Oof.
I think the main value that we want people to understand is that there is power in small businesses and there is power when those in a community make a decision that they are going to help their own. Often look to someone else. We look outside of our community for help, but we have power. You know, Stéphane and I, we did not grow up with, you know, millionaire families or parents. We did not grow up in the beauty industry. We did not grow up with special contacts. However, we worked, we learned, we clawed our ways into the beauty industry, into you know, the business space. And that was all because we wanted to help those who we looked up to, because they taught us about love, they taught us about culture, and they taught us about, from the Haitian perspective, what it is when you put your mind to something through the Haitian Revolution. So all of that, it truly helped to remind us that we can do things for ourselves as a community without having to ask for a handout or a hand up. And while others, we need allies, we need partners to help, but at some point people leave. We're not going anywhere. We love our culture, we love our community, we're always gonna be focused. And our community is wide. Our community is not just Haitians, our community is also Black, Latina, and, you know, other folks of color. Our community is also those who did not grow up with lots of money, but who are fighting the good fight in business. Our community are entrepreneurs who have a great idea and people are not yet looking at it because they don't get it yet. So our community is large, and we just hope to support and show that it's possible. And as one of my mentors likes to say, you know, we pass the baton at some point, because people will see what we've done and take it to the next level and do even bigger and greater things. But that's how we've all grown up, right? Somebody before us set the stage. Our parents set the stage. Your parents set the stage. So we all get to set the stage for the next person coming up. And for you, because God knows you're going to do something amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think also with the charitable, the value that we've always wanted to espouse with charitable organizations was also listening to those that they are there to help. Too often, there's this philosophy of like, oh, I know better than you, or I'm coming in with my education and my experience and my resources to reshape your life. But those projects often don't listen to the local communities and really understand what their issues are. And for us, that was something off the bat. And we had that same ignorance, but we learned the hard way. We had to go in country and recognize that Haiti had its own ecosystem, had its own way of doing things. How do you understand that, respect that, and then come in from a perspective of working together to improve it, as opposed to changing it just based on what you think it should be. And so that's something that, you know, we hope that our partners and piggybacking off of what Yve-Car says, it's like also betting on that community as well. And I think, you know, for a lot of our institutional partners, some of them didn't believe we were going to be able to do what we did and what we accomplished. But, you know, I think if you empower and if you give those resources and if you listen to the community that you say that you want to help, you know, that value will go. I think we can find more success in that model because, again, you're listening to what the core issue is and you're working together with the community.
Yes, to wrap it up, what challenges do you currently face that you believe a young person watching this could help solve?
Especially from that perspective, what challenges? Oh, wow. I'd probably say continue believing in yourself and believing in like your gut instincts, you know? And this is like a roundabout way. I would probably say an immediate challenge right now is building our team to find the right people, putting the right people in the right places, right? To continuing executing that vision and transferring some of those skill sets and experiences that Yve-Car and I had over these years to our team, right? And I think one of the reason I say I think it's a good lesson for young folks watching this is because it took us a long time to really fully believe in what we knew, what we've been able to accomplish, and stepping back to realize, oh, like Yve-Car said, we didn't have this experience. We didn't know who to call and all that. We figured it out, right? And now that's powerful in and of itself to know that, hey, here's what I've been able to figure out. But all that came from our instincts. It all came from our gut. It all came from the vision that we had from the company, not letting that go. And so now we can step back and say, hey, those instincts that we had were strong enough to get us here. And this is something that we can pass over to our staff as well. So I would wrap it around as far as believing in yourself and staying true to that.
But to be more precise in terms of also what a challenge that we are facing that young folks could help with is, I always say word of mouth is the most important thing for us. That's how we've grown. And I think the Gen Z community and those who are younger, knowing about Kreyol Essence and the fact that a fun product that they can use for themselves actually helps to just change the lives of so many people. That's the most powerful thing that a young person could do to help us and to help prove that businesses that care about other people can grow. And that's trying the product. And if you love it, going on TikTok, going on Instagram or going on Thread, because now there's Thread, and, giving us ideas about what it is that you want out of your products, especially if you want it to be natural, you want it to be clean, you want it to be fun and great packaging. So all that is one of the most important things that a young person could do to help us as we try to prove and continue to prove that a business can change the lives of other people.
Spread the word.
KreyolEssence.com.
It's all about spreading the word. It's all about going online and just spreading, because that's how you grow things nowadays. It's no more newspapers. It's all online. You gotta do it.
All online.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to the podcast. I know all the young people that will be watching this will really be inspired by you guys.
Hey, I'm inspired by them. I love
great questions. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. Thank you guys.